In Birmingham, there has been an ongoing story where Muslims are protesting LGBT education in what may be one of the most confusing circumstances for the intersectional left, and it has come to an end. This story from The Guardian. Birmingham Primary School suspends LGBT lessons indefinitely. A decisive victory for Muslim conservatives. For those who don't know, Islam is an Abrahamic religion. The story. Let's read through this one, and I want to go through some comments from people on Twitter. A Birmingham primary school that taught pupils about LGBT rights as part of a program to challenge homophobia has suspended the lessons indefinitely until a resolution is reached with protesting parents. Parkfield Community School in Saltley has been the scene of weekly protests over the lessons, which parents claim are promoting gay and transgender lifestyles. School chiefs have now said the No Outsiders lessons, which teach tolerance of diverse groups, including those of different races, genders, and sexual orientation, will not be taught until a resolution has been reached. Here's the thing. I've talked about this quite a bit. I just did an event in New York for Quillette. In the 2000s, when I was growing up, there was a big push against Christian conservatives who were trying to restrict gay rights. People posted how they hated these people. In fact, one of the default subreddits was r/atheism. When this is the 2000s, okay? When Reddit first emerged, you would go to the site and see posts dedicated to atheism. You don't see that so much anymore. The r/atheism is big. The point I want to bring up is that intersectional feminists believe we must protect Islam as well as the LGBT community. And I agree, we should, but recognizing they don't necessarily go together. While there absolutely are some LGBT, Muslims who, and there are individuals who want to reform Islam, for the most part, what do we see? Religious conservatives oppose LGBT rights. This is not some new phenomenon. This is not something out of the ordinary. In several countries, they're throwing people off of buildings. It's a very strange thing to see people defending both, like trying to bring these communities together. Intersectional feminism is this weird idea where you can bring in all of these different marginalized groups. But I want to point out as well, in my opinion, I mean, if we're looking at people who believe in no borders and a global society, Islam is anything but oppressed. Now, I have this post from Wikipedia because I want to make sure it's clear to activists that Islam is an Abrahamic religion. It's similar to Judaism and Christianity. They say LGBT in Islam is influenced by the religious, legal, social, and cultural history of the nations with a sizable Muslim population, along with specific passages in the Quran and the Hadith. I believe I pronounced that right. Statements attributed to the Islamic prophet Muhammad. The Quran cites the story of the people of Lot, destroyed by the wrath of God because they engaged in lustful carnal acts between men. Homosexual acts are forbidden in traditional Islamic jurisprudence and are liable to different punishments, including the death penalty. They say they were generally tolerated in pre-modern Islamic societies, but they point out, most importantly, that you can get the death penalty. So this is one of the big issues we face when we see, there was something that Lauren Southern did that got her banned from the UK, where she was, I can't remember exactly what it was, a while ago, but she was talking about, protecting LGBT rights in Islam, and it was considered offensive. Clearly, these things don't go together. But let's read the story a little bit more. Previously, Parkfield said they would continue as normal after the Easter holidays. This month, about 600 Muslim children aged between 4 and 11 were withdrawn from the school for the day, parents said. Parkfield would not confirm the number. It was cleared on Tuesday of any wrongdoing by Ofsted, with the school's watchdog praising Parkfield's record on promoting tolerance, acceptance, and mutual respect, and confirming its Ofsted rating of outstanding. On the same day, talks took place between parents, educating chiefs, and the Excelsior Multi-Academy Trust, which runs Parkfield, leading to the announcement that the lessons would be suspended. In a statement, the school said, "Nothing is more important than ensuring our children's education continues uninterrupted. Both parents and the trust held constructive discussions with the regional school commissioner, and as a result of these discussions, we are eager to continue to work together with parents over the coming days and weeks to find a solution that will support the children in our school to continue their education in a harmonious environment. Until a resolution has been reached, no outsiders lessons will not be taught at Parkfield, and we hope that children will not be removed from school to take part in protests." Okay. Islam doesn't like the LGBT community. Many of the countries, I believe all of the countries that it's punishable by death are Islamic nations. And this is, we're seeing something, in my opinion, that's very, very dangerous. The far left, the regressive left, the intersectional feminists want to defend one of the most powerful religions in the world as though they're oppressed. And let's be real, the LGBT community is substantially more oppressed, right? It's, these are people who face violence over the way they choose to live their lives or who they love. Although things have gotten tremendously better in recent times, Islam is not the most oppressed. But what happens when you bring these two things together, you can see that one group is substantially more powerful than the other. So in this instance, the man who was teaching, I believe this man, I could be wrong, Andrew Moffat, I believe he's gay. And so the protesters said that that's fine, but they don't want it in their schools. Look, what you have to consider is what happens next. I don't necessarily believe that everything will always be a slippery slope. That would be silly, but sometimes it could be, and we should be prepared for what happens next. Ellen Page went on television and said Mike Pence's rhetoric is what leads to, Jussie Smollett. Okay, fine. She's not wrong. She was implying that Jussie Smollett was attacked in a hate crime, although it's now widely believed to be a hoax. The point is, sure, the rhetoric from Pence led to a potential hoax hate crime. I say potential because he just pled not guilty. We'll see what happens. But the issue is, the Muslim migrants in this community threatened to leave. They protested for weeks until they won, and they shut down LGBT education. What do you think comes next? Do you think that these people just stop protesting? No, you have given in to a religious conservative group because you're acting like they're oppressed. Think about what's going on right now on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube with hate speech. In the 2000s, you could say bad things about Christians. Absolutely 100%. You could call them backwards. You could say that they were oppressive, they were offensive, they were insane. All of those things were acceptable. From that rhetoric, the gay community, the LGBT community gained substantial rights in this country. The Supreme Court ruled that gay marriage is legal. It's nationwide now. It wasn't for a while. And the primary opposition came from religious groups. Today, the Christian conservatives have substantially less power. Donald Trump at the Republican National Convention got everyone to clap and cheer for the gay community. These changes happened. And these changes only happened, dare I say it, because some people had hate in their hearts. Hate for a group of people who followed a religion. Now, I certainly think we should respect those who follow a religion. You can believe what you want. And many of the people I talk to today say things like, they're conservatives, religious folk who disagree with the, LGBT individuals, but respect their right to do their own thing in their own private homes and all of that. However, there is still an argument that the LGBT education was in a school, so the parents are upset. But essentially now we're seeing an inversion. You cannot criticize Islam on Twitter. You will be banned. If you say anything about, Islam protesting LGBT, whatever, opposing gay rights and threatening the LGBT community, you can and will be banned. It's a stark contrast to what we used to see. Well, I made a tweet about it. Let's see some of the responses and go over them. On Twitter, I said, Muslim religious conservatives have won their protest over LGBT education in a confusing defeat for intersectionality. Because yes, we've seen many people try and promote the idea that LGBT community and the Muslim community can come together. In some instances, absolutely. But as of right now, no, they're at odds. They really are. And although it may not be the LGBT community pushing back because they tend to be more intersectional, Muslim religious conservatives are pushing back against your rights. Well, we have some responses that I want to read because I thought it was interesting as it pertains to what should or shouldn't be in school. This user, Andrew, said, religion and LGBTQ have no place in school. Another person responded, one is voluntary, one is not. Unless you believe sex education should not be taught in schools, at all LGBT issues should be LGBT issues should be addressed. Sex education in the U.S. is not the same as LGBTQ lessons. One is about education on sex. The other is a specific area of simply accepting people no matter who they are or how they feel. Someone said, I actually think needing to specify LGBT is adults complicating lessons meant for children. You can teach tolerance for people who are different without needing to list all the ways a person can be different. Small, really children don't care if two men are holding hands. And Andrew said, thank you. This is exactly what I'm trying to say. Using specifics such as religion and LGBTQ is far too divisive and risks a what about me attitude, which simply doesn't focus on just accepting people for who they are. And that's an interesting point that I wanted to bring up. Where does it end? If you're going to do an education system for one group of people, why not another? Why stop at LGBT? Why not otherkin? Why not trans species? Why not? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody. I'm saying, where do you stop when it comes to who is or isn't protected? Maybe we should just tell children, respect everyone so long as they aren't violent and they were, and they follow the law and they follow rules. It becomes particularly dangerous when you say we're going to respect everyone, even if that means we'll respect people who disrespect others. And I want to be specific about this. I'm talking about in institutions and education. Imagine if they started to talk about how political minorities should be heard. Why just religion? Okay. What if someone creates a religion that is extremely dangerous? What if it gains prominence? Are we going to respect that too? At a certain point, we have to draw lines. I am not advocating for violence. I am saying our institutions should omit specialty groups and special interests. And look, I got to admit, it's really difficult. It's grains of sand. It's gradients. I don't know where the lines are. So long as people are willing to denounce violence and authoritarianism, I think we can be okay with talking about certain things. But for this program, you can see where the clash happens. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Stick around. I got more videos coming up in just a few minutes, and I will see you then.